South Carolina house fire conceals evidence of a contract killing. When a second death is discovered, police connect the two incidents and suspect a group of businessmen who will kill to protect their interests and settle scores. Agents must use their own tricks and their own criminal contacts to uncover the truth and stop the cutthroat conspirators.
Murder for hire is a complex crime. Solving it means finding the killer and whoever paid for the hit. In South Carolina, a death first ruled accidental was no accident. But that was just the beginning. I'm Jim Kallstrom, former head of the FBI's New York office. Agents discovered greed, betrayal, and shady dealings, and found that sometimes family ties can strangle.
Florence County, South Carolina, lies at the heart of the state. An area where farmland meets swampland. And the working poor live side by side with the wealthiest families. Most residents of the small town of Atlanta lead quiet, rural lives, 25 miles from the city of Florence. But in the late 80s, a hidden danger began to disrupt the quiet. On the morning of June 10th, 1987, the volunteers of the Atlanta Rural Fire Department responded to a farmhouse fire outside of town. By the time they reached the scene, the house was engulfed in flames. It was the home of William Graham, a wealthy tobacco farmer well known in the small community. The firefighters struggled to control the flames, knowing the elderly Graham lived alone and might be inside.
That's command. Go ahead, 11 seat.
After 90 minutes, they finally extinguished the blaze. Investigators searched the gutted house, and in the bedroom, found Graham's body lying in his charred bed. Floor and walls indicated that no accelerant was used to fuel the blaze. Near the fire's point of origin were several electrical outlets.
Pattern right there. Right. See right here?
The investigators believed it had been an electrical fire caused by faulty wiring in the farmhouse. They ruled the blaze accidental. At autopsy, a pathologist noted massive burn injuries and evidence of smoke in the victim's lungs. Deciding there was no need for x-rays, he concluded Graham's death was a result of asphyxiation due to carbon monoxide poisoning. County Prosecutor Dudley Salibi read about the case in the local papers.
Even though the autopsy had not indicated foul play, and even though there was no manifest evidence of arson, there were rumors throughout the Atlanta community that Mr. Graham had died as a result of foul play.
Then, 7 months later, in January 1988, a hunter in nearby Clarendon County spotted a mound of dirt in a field. Checking it out, he made a grim discovery. Human remains.
anybody out.
Investigators determined the body had been placed in a grave only 10 inches deep and likely unearthed by scavenging animals. There was no evidence nearby to indicate who the victim was or how he died. The pathologist used dental records to identify the victim as Darnell Rhodes, reported missing a month earlier. Rhodes had been shot once in the back, twice in the face, and 5 times behind the left ear. A brutal murder, especially in this quiet community. At the time, no one had any reason to connect it to the farmer's fiery death 7 months earlier. The county sheriff's department wanted to bring in more resources since the violence was so extreme. So they called the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, known as SLED. Lieutenant Gary Martin, one of the investigative experts at SLED headquarters in Columbia, knew to be ready for anything.
Always expect the unexpected. Things aren't always the way they appear, and there can always be additional circumstances involving a case.
SLED agents and sheriff's detectives began by visiting area hangouts the victim, Darnell Rhodes, was known to frequent. Many knew the man and said that around the time of his disappearance, Rhodes was usually seen with a friend named Charles McCrae. The rumors were that Rhodes and McCrae were professional henchmen committing crimes for wealthy businessmen in the area. Investigators wanted to know who these men were, but no one would offer any names.
Numerous people in the Atlanta community stated that they had seen Charles McCrae with Rhodes the day before he was reported missing.
Investigators learned that after Rhodes went missing, McCrae hinted that he had killed him. To get the truth behind the rumors, investigators needed to talk to Charles McCrae. At about the same time, someone filed burglary and assault charges against McCrae that were unrelated to the Rhodes case. Clarendon County detectives decided to arrest him on those charges, hoping they could get him to talk about Rhodes.
They can and will be used against you in a court of law. The right to
At SLED headquarters, investigators explained the witness statements they had regarding McCrae discussing the murder of Rhodes.
You want to relate that to us right now?
The suspect said he might be willing to cooperate if he could protect 2 family members who helped him after Rhodes was dead, according to SLED agent James Gamble.
So he gave me the contract.
He said his nephew helped him dispose of the body and that he used his sister's automobile and that he didn't want his family being involved or accused of any part of this murder because they were not guilty. We'll do whatever we can to keep them from being involved.
When they agreed not to prosecute the others, McCrae admitted to shooting Rhodes to keep him quiet. He explained Rhodes had been talking to people about the murder of tobacco farmer William Graham.
Initially, the response from law enforcement was, no, there's no indication that that was a homicide. But then he gave them information which indicated that it was a homicide and which reopened the entire investigation.
Basically, when they were called...
McCrae claimed he had been hired to kill Graham and burn his house down.
Getting rid of, kill.
He said he broke into Graham's home late on the night of June 9th, 1987. McCrae found Graham asleep in the bedroom. He used a small caliber handgun, point blank behind the ear. McCrae stole the pistol Graham kept for protection. To cover the crime, he stuffed newspapers under the bed and